what are the detrimental effects of setting goals and then not following through, not accomplishing them? What does that do to us?
Well, within the PD community, we're very familiar with the term limbic lie. And oftentimes that's a false truth about us, who we are, our identity, where we fit in. And those limbic lies often are early in life, and they could suggest that I'm not good enough, I don't have what it takes, failure is inevitable. And so when we come up short on goals, some of those limbic lies can surface again and be reinforced. And I think that's just an opening for the adversary to step in.
Yep. I know. I think for me, like, I'm not enough. I'm not good enough, and that's talking about the limbic lies. It doesn't matter how well I do, I'll never be good enough is a limbic lie that I've had since I was a kid. And so for me, if I set a goal and I don't accomplish it, like that thought creeps in very, very quick. It's as if it's standing outside the line, just waiting for the opening. And as soon as I fail, it's like, oh, see, here I come back in. Remember, this is who we are. This is, we can't do hard things. But then also there's a level of disappointment. And I think that especially someone on the recovery journey, that disappointment is often one of the feelings we're trying to avoid with the behavior in the first place. Like that's why I go to pornography. That's why I go to sexually acting out, is because I don't want to feel the discomfort. And I know for me, in my journey, that was definitely part of it. It wasn't just that I was addicted to pornography and I kept going back to it. It was that I knew it was wrong and I couldn't break free, that just reinforced the shame. And that cycle just perpetuated over and over and over again. And I think that setting goals and not accomplishing them sets us up for that pattern pretty quick.
Well, I mentioned that all or none way of thinking, and I think that's what we can fall into, especially if we have goals that are very numeric based or streak based, or they're all about the accomplishment of the goal, because then if we fall off of the streak or we are falling behind on the potential accomplishment, then it's just like, well, I just give up. I'm not going to do it. And then we realize maybe that was the wrong goal because I was focused on the streak versus what it was doing in my life. Yeah. So as so many people experience, if their goal is I'm going to go to the gym every day and then they miss a day, it's like, well, there went that goal. Or I'm going to save X amount of dollars every month, and if they're a month behind, like, well, now it's impossible.
Totally.
Or I'm going to lose X amount of pounds every single month, and you get a month behind. And again, the impossibility of keeping to your streak can be what's discouraging. And I say that especially because I know a lot of people listening to this podcast, male and female, can be very driven by performance, by accomplishment, finding their value in that sense of I did something well and I'm achieving and people are proud of me for what I'm doing. And there is a mindset shift, I think, that has to go on away from the numbers and the accomplishment and the performance towards what is the desired outcome. And so one of my goals this year at the time of recording, maybe I'll have caught up, but at the time we're recording, but when this comes out, maybe I'll have caught up. But when we're recording it, I'm about a month behind on reading the chronological Bible in a year. And if my goal was simply, I'm going to read the Bible every day and get through it in a year, I would have given up a couple of months ago when I started to have some busy seasons and just got behind. But for me, it's still been my annual goal, and it's been very beneficial because my goal is really just, I want to prioritize reading through the chronological Bible, and if I can do it in a year, great. But it wasn't just about the accomplishment of it. It was knowing I wanted to make that my focus. I wanted to set that time aside. And so I would look at that and say, if I do get to the end of a year and I only got 11 of the 12 months, was it a failure? It's like, well, that means 335 days I did read and I made progress. Well, those were great days. And then maybe there was 30 that I fell behind. Okay, well, I can live with that.
Yeah.
Versus if I just got to April and gave up, and then there were a lot of days I just had no plan, that probably would have worked against me. So I think what's detrimental is when we get into that mindset that's all or none, performance-driven, it's more about the accomplishment than what it's producing in my life, that really can lead to discouragement. And like you guys have said, reinforce some of those negative messages of I'm never good enough, I can't finish things, I'm a failure, I'm a loser, whatever maybe core messages we've dealt with because of our past trauma, trying to do a good thing can actually trigger those very negative messages.